Most people don't ruin their lives in one dramatic mistake. They ruin them quietly, politely, one small decision at a time. They wake up every morning believing they still have time. Time to try later. Time to care later. Time to give their best later. And then one day, they look back and realize 20 years disappeared without permission. Not because they were lazy, not because they were evil, but because they never understood how life actually promotes people. This video is not about motivation. It's not about hype. It's not about working harder. It's about the law that decides who rises and who stays invisible. And if you are listening closely, you may save yourself decades of regret. Stay with me. On a rainy afternoon in Pittsburgh, an elderly woman entered a large department store. She didn't look important. She didn't look wealthy. She didn't look like opportunity. Most employees noticed her briefly, then decided she wasn't worth their time. That decision, repeated thousands of times every day, is why most people remain exactly where they are. But one young clerk chose differently. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. He approached her with courtesy, not because a sale was guaranteed, but because that was who he had decided to be. She told him she was only waiting for the rain to stop. She had no intention of buying anything. Most people would have disengaged at that point. He didn't. He stayed present. He listened. He treated her time as valuable. When she was ready to leave, he walked her outside and helped her with her umbrella, then returned to work. No applause, no reward, no recognition, just conduct. Months passed. Then one day, that clerk was called into the office. A letter had arrived from Scotland. A woman wanted to furnish an entire estate. Her condition was simple. She wanted that young man, no one else. That woman was Andrew Carnegie's mother. And in that moment, a life changed, not through luck, but through behavior displayed when no one was watching. This is the lesson most men miss. Opportunity rarely announces itself. It observes. It watches how you behave. When the moment looks unimportant. Why this story matters to you. Most people are waiting for a big break. A phone call. A contract. A miracle. But life does not promote potential. It promotes proof. And proof is demonstrated in moments that look ordinary, boring, or inconvenient. That clerk did not get lucky. He passed a test. A test most people fail every day. The dangerous lie about opportunity. Here is the lie that wastes years. When the opportunity comes, I'll step up. That's backwards. Life doesn't test you after promotion. It tests you before. Your daily behavior is your application. Your habits are your resume. Your standards are your interview. And most people fail the interview without knowing it happened. How years are actually lost. Years are not lost in disasters. They are lost in small surrenders. The extra effort you didn't give because no one required it. The responsibility you avoided because it felt uncomfortable. The discipline you postponed because tomorrow felt safer. That's how time disappears. Not loudly, quietly. Why hard work isn't the same as value. Many people work hard their entire lives and never advance. Not because they lack effort, but because effort without character and direction produces no leverage. Life does not reward exhaustion. It rewards reliability. It rewards people who can be trusted when incentives are absent. The rule that governs advancement. There is a rule that never fails. Life advances the person who becomes useful before they are rewarded. Most people do the opposite. They wait to be paid more before giving more. And that decision quietly locks them into place. Why this took 25 years to learn. This lesson sounds simple. That's why it's ignored. Men nod their heads when they hear it, then continue living the same way. Truth only becomes powerful when regret gives it weight. It took decades of watching talented men fail and ordinary men rise to understand this fully. Success is not a moment. It is a pattern, and patterns are built daily. What this means for you right now. If you want your future to change, your standard of conduct must change first. Not when it's convenient. Not when someone is watching. Now. Because life is always observing. And promotion always comes later. Why most people waste years without realizing it. The silent drift that steals a lifetime. Most men do not fail loudly. They do not collapse in dramatic fashion. They do not ruin their lives in a single reckless decision. They drift. And drifting is far more dangerous than failure. Failure at least wakes a man up. Drifting lulls him to sleep. A drifting man believes he is being patient. He believes he is being realistic. He believes he is waiting for the right time. But in truth, he has surrendered direction without admitting it to himself. This is the tragedy that steals decades. The difference between waiting and drifting. Waiting is intentional. Drifting is unconscious. A man who waits knows exactly what he is waiting for. He has conditions. He has standards. He has a deadline. A drifting man has none of these. He says things like, "I'm just seeing how things go. I'm keeping my options open. I'll decide later." Later becomes a habit. And habits become identity. Years pass, not because he chose poorly, but because he never chose at all. Why indecision feels safe. Indecision protects the ego. If you never decide, you never have to fully commit. If you never fully commit, you never fully risk failure. Drifting allows a man to avoid responsibility while still feeling busy. This is why so many people stay occupied but unchanged. They mistake movement for progress. The illusion of being practical. After a certain age, drifting disguises itself as wisdom. A man begins to say, "I'm just being practical now. I've learned not to take big risks. I know how the world works." But what he often means is, "I'm afraid to make a decision that might expose me." Real maturity is not caution. It is clarity. A mature mind chooses carefully. But it chooses how time quietly becomes an enemy. Time itself is neutral. It does not punish. It does not reward. But indecision turns time into an enemy. 1 year of hesitation trains the nervous system to delay. 5 years of delay becomes identity. 10 years of identity becomes destiny. And then one day, a man wakes up older. Not because time passed, but because nothing meaningful was directed. This is why regret feels so heavy later in life. It is not the pain of failure. It is the pain of unrealized intention. Why talent doesn't save drifters. Talent without direction is one of the saddest sights in the world. Highly capable people often drift the longest because their ability gives them false confidence. They believe, "I can always figure it out later. I'm smart enough to recover." But intelligence without decision creates delay, not results. History is filled with average men who surpassed brilliant ones, simply because they chose a direction and stayed with it. Life does not reward potential. It rewards alignment and execution over time. The psychological cost of drifting. Drifting slowly erodes self-respect. Not all at once. Quietly. A man begins to distrust himself because he notices a pattern. He avoids hard decisions. He delays uncomfortable actions. He rationalizes inconsistency. This internal pattern creates anxiety, not peace. Because deep down, the mind knows when it is being dishonest. Confidence does not come from positive thinking. It comes from kept commitments. And drifting produces broken promises to oneself. Why most people never notice the turning point. Life offers turning points constantly, but they do not look dramatic. They look like a responsibility you could take but avoid, a standard you could raise but don't, a direction you could commit to but postpone. Turning points are quiet. That is why most people miss them. They expect destiny to announce itself. But destiny whispers. The moment drift becomes dangerous. There comes a moment, often in midlife, when drifting becomes costly. The body has less tolerance for chaos. The mind is less forgiving of wasted time. The heart asks harder questions. Questions like, what am I actually building? Where is this leading? Who will I be 5 years from now if nothing changes? These questions are uncomfortable. Most people silence them. The few who answer them honestly change everything. Why decisive people seem lucky? Decisive people appear lucky because they are predictable. They show up consistently. They act without constant hesitation. They adjust without abandoning direction. Life trusts what is reliable. Opportunities move toward people who demonstrate consistency over time. Not because of magic, because trust compounds. The simple rule drifters never learn. Here is the rule that separates progress from stagnation. You don't need to know every step. Determines whether life trusts them with more. Most people misunderstand this process. They think opportunity arrives first, and responsibility follows. In reality, it works in reverse. Responsibility, demonstrated quietly, invites opportunity later. The mistake most people make about extra effort. When people hear the phrase, do more than you're paid for, they misunderstand it. They think it means exhaustion. They think it means being taken advantage of. They think it means losing boundaries. That is not what it means at all. It means bringing integrity into ordinary actions. It means doing the job properly, even when shortcuts are available. It means showing care, even when indifference would go unnoticed. Not because someone is watching, but because you are. Why people who withhold their best stay invisible. Many people subconsciously hold back. They say things like, I'll give more when I'm paid more. I'll work harder when I'm appreciated. I'll care when someone notices. But life does not respond to negotiation. It responds to demonstrated reliability. When someone withholds effort, life reads that signal clearly. This person cannot be trusted beyond minimum requirements. And so they remain stuck at the minimum. How character builds a reputation before results appear. Reputation does not begin with success. It begins with consistency. People watch patterns, not words. They notice who stays steady under pressure, who keeps promises when it's inconvenient, who takes responsibility without being pushed. Long before a promotion, long before a partnership, long before recognition, trust is forming quietly. And once trust exists, opportunity moves faster. Why some people are chosen without asking. It often appears that certain people are selected effortlessly. They are offered roles. They are given responsibility. They are recommended when they are not present. This is not favoritism. It is pattern recognition. Decision makers choose people who have proven reliability when stakes were low. They do not gamble on character. They confirm it. The psychological reason integrity creates power. Integrity reduces internal conflict. When actions align with values, the mind becomes calmer. A calm mind thinks more clearly. Clear thinking improves decisions. Better decisions compound into results. This is why people with strong character often appear confident without being loud. They are not managing internal contradiction. Why shortcuts cost more than they save. Shortcuts promise speed, but they quietly damage credibility. Each time someone cuts a corner, they train themselves to tolerate misalignment. That tolerance grows. Soon they are no longer cutting corners. They are living inside them. And once credibility erodes, progress slows dramatically. Why life promotes people who don't demand it. Demanding recognition repels trust. Earning trust attracts it. Life responds to demonstration, not declaration. This is why humble, consistent people often rise while louder ones plateau. Their work speaks in rooms they are not in. The invisible scorecard everyone is judged by. There is a scorecard no one sees, yet everyone is evaluated by it. It tracks consistency over time, reaction under pressure, follow through without supervision, respect shown when nothing is gained. This scorecard decides who advances, not opinions, not intentions, patterns. Why character protects you during uncertainty, when environments change, when leadership shifts, when markets tighten. Character becomes protection. People with proven integrity are retained, trusted, consulted. People who relied on charm or visibility are often the first removed. Stability follows those who have demonstrated reliability. The long-term advantage of doing things properly. Doing things properly may feel slower at first, but it creates compound advantage. Fewer repairs, fewer conflicts, fewer explanations. Energy that others spend fixing mistakes is used by disciplined people to advance. Over years, the gap becomes massive. Why you can't fake this? Character cannot be imitated convincingly. Performance collapses under stress. Pretense breaks under pressure. Only ingrained behavior holds. This is why true growth happens privately, long before it appears publicly. The quiet decision that changes everything. There is a decision that marks the shift from stagnation to progress. I will operate at my standard, not the minimum required. This is not perfection. It is consistency. Once this becomes habit, life begins responding differently. Not immediately, not dramatically, but reliably. What you should take from this part: if you feel overlooked, if effort hasn't translated into advancement, if progress feels slower than expected, look first at consistency and reliability, not talent. Talent opens doors. Character keeps them open. Why discipline, not motivation, decides the future? The structure that separates those who finish from those who fade. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think discipline is intensity. They think it is force. They think it is punishment. And because of that misunderstanding, they spend their lives waiting for motivation instead. But motivation is unreliable. Discipline is not. Motivation responds to emotion. Discipline responds to structure. And life rewards structure far more than enthusiasm. Why motivation always fails under pressure? Motivation depends on how you feel. When conditions are good, when progress is visible, when energy is high, motivation shows up easily. But pressure exposes the truth. When results slow, when fatigue sets in, when doubt whispers, motivation disappears. This is where most people stop. Not because they cannot continue, but because they built their effort on feeling instead of system. Discipline is not force, it is design. True discipline is quiet. It does not shout. It does not demand willpower every day. It removes decision-making from routine actions. When something is scheduled, it does not require debate. When a habit is locked in, it does not depend on mood. This is why disciplined people appear calm. They are not fighting themselves constantly. Why people burn out instead of building. Burnout is not caused by hard work. It is caused by inconsistent effort driven by emotion. People push hard, then collapse. They surge, then disappear. They restart repeatedly. This cycle destroys momentum. Discipline creates steady pressure instead of spikes. And steady pressure reshapes life over time. The hidden cost of constant restarting. Every time you stop and restart, you pay a psychological tax. You lose trust in yourself. The mind begins to think, he always quits. She never finishes. This won't last either. That internal narrative weakens confidence. Discipline repairs it. Each completed routine rebuilds self-trust quietly. Why small habits matter more than big goals. Goals inspire direction. Habits determine outcome. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. Small daily actions compound invisibly. 10 minutes of focused effort daily outperforms bursts of inspiration over months. The math is simple. Consistency wins. How discipline creates freedom, not restriction. People fear discipline because they think it limits freedom. In truth, discipline removes chaos. Chaos drains energy. Structure conserves it. When your day has rhythm, your mind relaxes. You stop negotiating with yourself constantly. That mental relief is freedom. Why discipline must be boring to work. Effective systems are boring. They repeat. They are predictable. They are unexciting. And that is their strength. Excitement fades. Routine remains. The future belongs to those who can repeat what others abandon once novelty wears off. Why discipline outlasts talent. Talent without discipline creates frustration. Discipline without talent creates progress. Over time, discipline builds skill, judgment, and credibility. Talent alone creates expectation without delivery. This is why disciplined people eventually surpass gifted ones. How structure protects you on bad days. Bad days are inevitable. Discipline anticipates them. It does not ask, "Do I feel like it today?" It says, "This is what happens today regardless." That removes emotional negotiation. On days when motivation collapses, structure carries you forward. Why willpower is a weak strategy. Willpower is finite. Structure is not. People who rely on willpower exhaust themselves. People who rely on systems conserve energy. Discipline shifts effort from force to design. The daily standard that changes identity. Identity is shaped by what you do repeatedly, not what you plan, not what you intend. When discipline becomes habit, identity updates automatically. You stop trying to be disciplined. You are disciplined. This shift changes how others perceive you. Reliability becomes your reputation. Why discipline is the bridge between vision and reality. Vision without discipline is fantasy. Discipline without vision is survival. Together, they create progress. Discipline translates intention into execution. It turns clarity into outcome. The quiet power of showing up daily. There is nothing dramatic about showing up. That is why it works. Those who show up daily accumulate advantage. While others wait for perfect conditions, time favors the consistent. What you should take from this part. If your goals feel distant, if progress feels inconsistent, if effort feels exhausting, do not ask for more motivation. Ask for better structure. Design systems that operate, even when you are tired. Persistence, the force that makes success inevitable. Why most quit one step before the turn? There is a moment in every long pursuit where effort feels pointless. Progress slows. Results go quiet. Feedback disappears. This is the moment that decides everything. Confidence is built through endurance, not success alone. Why persistence must be calm, not desperate. Desperate persistence burns energy. Calm persistence preserves it. The persistent man does not chase results. He executes his process and lets time do its work. Desperation signals doubt. Calm signals certainty. Why consistency outperforms intensity. Intensity impresses briefly. Consistency builds permanently. 10 intense days followed by quitting produce nothing. Moderate effort sustained over years builds everything. Persistence favors the steady. The silent reputation persistence creates. People notice persistence even when they say nothing. They begin to trust you. They begin to recommend you. They begin to invest in you. Not because you are loud, but because you last. Longevity signals reliability. Why persistence changes identity. At first, persistence is effort. Later, it becomes identity. You stop saying, "I am trying." You start living as someone who does not quit. This identity shift changes behavior automatically. How persistence neutralizes fear. Fear thrives on uncertainty. Persistence creates predictability. When you act consistently, fear loses leverage. You are no longer waiting. You are moving. Motion weakens fear. Why persistence makes timing irrelevant. Most people wait for perfect timing. Persistent people create timing. They are ready when opportunity appears, because they never stop preparing. Timing favors those already in motion. The myth of overnight success. Overnight success is delayed recognition. Persistence is invisible until suddenly it is not. Observers see the result, not the years of repetition behind it. Persistence works quietly. How setbacks become training instead of trauma. Persistent people reinterpret setbacks, not as rejection, but as refinement. Each setback strengthens resilience. This emotional durability is rare. That rarity creates advantage. Why persistence requires emotional regulation. Uncontrolled emotion disrupts persistence. Mood swings break continuity. Persistent people regulate emotion. Instead of obeying it, they act according to principle, not feeling. The daily question that sustains persistence. Persistent people do not ask, "Will this work?" They ask, "What is today's next correct action?" This keeps effort grounded and manageable. Why persistence builds authority. Authority is earned through endurance. People follow those who remain. When others disappear, persistence proves seriousness. It earns respect without demanding it. How persistence eliminates regret. Regret comes from quitting too early. Persistence removes that burden. Even if outcomes change, you know you honored your effort. That inner peace is powerful. The long game, most people refuse to play. Most people want relief. Persistent people want mastery. Mastery requires repetition under pressure. Few accept that cost. That is why few reach mastery. Why persistence eventually forces results. Life resists briefly, then it responds. Persistent pressure reorganizes circumstance. Systems adapt. People notice. Opportunities align. Persistence bends reality over time. What you should take from this part. If progress feels slow, if effort feels unseen, if doubt whispers, do not retreat. This phase is confirmation, not failure. Continue calmly. Character, the force that decides who life trusts with more. Why success follows some men quietly and avoids others completely. There is a truth most men discover too late. Life does not reward intention. Life does not reward desire. Life does not reward effort alone. Life rewards reliability of character. Not what you say you will do, but what you consistently do when it costs you something. Why character matters more than intelligence. Intelligence can open doors. Character decides whether you are allowed to stay. Many men rise quickly and fall just as fast, because their character cannot carry the weight of success. Life tests before it entrusts. What character actually means. Character is not morality speeches. It is not public image. Character is behavior under pressure. How you act when no one is watching. The reward is delayed. The task feels unfair. The recognition is missing. That is where character is formed. Why life tests you quietly first, before responsibility increases. Life observes how you handle the small promises, small duties, small disciplines. If you neglect the small, life withholds the large. This is not punishment. It is protection. Why many talented people plateau. They mistake talent for entitlement. They believe ability alone should be enough. But talent without discipline becomes unstable. Life does not expand chaos. It expands order. How character is built daily. Not through dramatic moments. Through repetition. Showing up on time. Finishing what you start. Speaking truthfully. Controlling impulse. Keeping your word. These actions compound quietly. Why integrity creates opportunity. Integrity reduces risk. People trust those who are predictable in principle. When trust increases, responsibility increases. Access increases. Influence increases. Not because of charm, but because of consistency. Why character cannot be faked long-term. Performance can be faked. Language can be rehearsed. Confidence can be mimicked. But behavior over time reveals truth. Life always audits consistency. Why self-respect precedes external respect. The man who cuts corners internally. loses authority externally. The man who respects his own standards carries quiet confidence. Others feel it, not emotionally, behaviorally. How character reduces stress. When your actions align with your values, there is no inner conflict. Stress comes from contradiction. Saying one thing, doing another. Integrity removes that friction. Why discipline is an act of self-respect. Discipline is not punishment. It is choosing long-term stability over short-term comfort. Each disciplined action reinforces identity. You begin to trust yourself again. Why responsibility expands capacity. Responsibility strengthens judgment. The man who avoids responsibility avoids growth. The man who accepts it expands competence. Why success is a byproduct, not the goal. When character is strong, decisions improve. Behavior stabilizes. Relationships strengthen. Opportunities compound. Success follows naturally, not magically, logically. Why success is a byproduct, not the goal. When character is strong, decisions improve. Behavior stabilizes. Relationships strengthen. Opportunities compound. Success follows naturally, not magically, logically. How life selects leaders. Not by ambition, by reliability. Leaders are trusted under uncertainty. That trust is earned through consistency. Why quiet excellence wins long-term. Loud effort attracts attention. Quiet excellence earns opportunity. Life listens to behavior, not noise. The difference between image and substance. Image impresses briefly. Substance endures. When pressure arrives, image collapses. Substance adapts. Why character multiplies over time. Every disciplined action makes the next easier. Momentum builds. What once required effort becomes natural. This is compounding. Why character multiplies over time. Every disciplined action makes the next easier. Momentum builds. What once required effort becomes natural. This is compounding. How you know character is forming. You stop negotiating with yourself. You act without internal debate. Discipline becomes default. Why integrity simplifies life. Fewer excuses. Fewer contradictions. Clear decisions. Simplicity creates speed. The final reality. Life is not asking what you want. It is observing who you are becoming. Every day answers that question. Final charge. Do not wait for motivation. Build discipline. Do not seek recognition. Practice reliability. Do not chase opportunity. Become prepared. Closing. Success is not seized. It is entrusted. And life entrusts those who prove, through daily behavior, that they can be trusted with more. This is not inspiration. It is responsibility. And responsibility is the doorway everything meaningful walks through.